So
Maybe 7:30 makes
oh
us a
boy,
little
here
more
we go.
reflective.
Leave the criticism, take the cannoli.
It's Trunker. I told you it
um,
was Trunker. I was right.
I'm not even very
I saw
drunk.
this first. I saw this, and then I recommended it to Jared on this show, and he picked it as his best movie that year.
He did. He was like, he saw it and he messaged me. He's like, you have to see this.
And you told me, and I
definitely
watched
had
it, and like my
Chris
brain
and
fell out of my
Jared.
Then
head.
I think we talked Scott into seeing it, and now you got.
Oh my God, I did.
What I will say watching this again is, we've talked often on the show about things we like about Scandinavian cinema. And I think that all of those elements are here. I think the cinematography is great. I think the music is really good. I think the acting is really good. Yes, it goes probably a little too far, and it remains one of the most fucked up things I have ever seen, and I love its black little heart. Now, the other thing I will say is, I think that this movie was made specifically for a Danish, like as I understand it, this guy is trying to make a comment about like Danish
Dutch people.
Dutch people are apparently like polite to a fault.
No.
And
what he's actually doing is he's making
a
a movie based on an experience that he had where he was on vacation in another country.
You could never make this movie with New Yorkers, because New Yorkers would never fucking, like, it'd be over in 5 minutes. Like, fuck you, I'm going home.
Nobody
you know what?
would.
You ever heard of a comedy of manners? A comedy of manners is where everyone things get crazy because no one's willing to confront each other and everyone kind of goes along with things. This is a horror of manners.
There's another word for that,
which is
idiot plot.
Right.
Well,
no, this is an idiot plot. This is
an idiot plot.
Everybody who sees this film wants to be a polite person. Everybody
relies on the main characters being completely helpless and stupid.
No, their core audience is going to be people who want to be polite to other people.
Making choices that no one would make.
I still buy it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I still buy it.
It's a horror flick. All horror flicks are like that.
Why
that's
are
not
you
true.
Full of
And that's
stupid people.
No, that's not true. And that's one of the big problems with this movie is that there are movies, and especially Scandinavian horror movies, where people make intelligent choices, and that is so fucking much more interesting than watching these two absolute goddamn fucking morons continue to trip on their own dicks through this entire film up until the point
you wouldn't. I don't think you would be so passionate if it didn't work on some level to you.
Up until the point where their child is having her tongue cut out and refuse to do anything about it.
Yeah.
This movie is these two people are absolute goddamn morons, and apparently so are 30 other fucking families,
right,
based on the photos in that cottage. Like it's insane.
Hold on. Stop and back up for a second. What
I
does
think it's
that,
put it,
hold on.
And
what
the
does that
goddamn
mean?
shame of this.
Well, hold
and
on.
the
What
goddamn
does that
shame of
mean?
this.
The fact that there were like maybe 20 other families who went through the same process. What does that tell you?
Exactly. Like, listen,
That
it's
it's
not
a-
just
that
about.
it's
It's
a
not. It's
folk
not just
tale.
about.
That
It's not just about manners to a fault. It's about some people literally cannot handle conflict.
Yes,
They
twice.
won't do it.
Yes,
they can't
Jared,
stand it.
1,000% yes.
And so
That's
you
exactly what-
just go along with
This whole
it.
film is about a conflict
Bullshit.
avoidance.
They leave twice.
Yeah.
The only smart thing they do in the
But
entire
how do they do it? How they do it?
Stares,
How they do it?
He stares at
They
that
do it without
fucking
conflict. They
car
sneak.
key.
Yes.
He
That's-
stares at those like the movie knows enough to go, I'm gonna give you a scene where he literally stares at those fucking car keys and that guy's out there taking a leak and he still doesn't do anything about it.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
It's
Yep.
like the director knows very well that there are going to be people watch this movie having the same reaction you watch. Is they're fucking morons. Why aren't they doing something?
Yeah.
Because he knows that there are people who wouldn't do anything, and that is the whole movie.
I have known.
Why are you doing this? Because you let me.
I
Yes.
have known.
That's
I
the
have
story.
known-
That's the
the-
center of the
One
film.
line.
I have known people in my life who are dumb as absolute fucking dog shit. The difference is, and I've known people who refuse to get involved in conflict. The difference is that these people have a child, and the vast majority of people on this planet have an innate biological
Drive.
absolute drive to protect their child. And when they don't do it in this movie,
That is
Fuck 'em.
exactly when the movie lost me, is in the car when they were doing that, and he was just fucking sitting there. He didn't have a gun. That guy didn't have a gun. He would have fought.
Okay.
I
what
would have
was-
fought.
Okay, hold
Any
on.
person
Stop.
would
What
have-
was happening?
I mean, he did fight. I
He got punched
know what you
in
guys
the
are
face.
saying. He got
in-
punched, but
what's happening in that car? The guy was beating the crap out, punching him in the face.
Yes.
And the
Hit
woman
him
in the
back.
back, the woman in the back was telling him everything's gonna be okay. Everything's
I
gonna be
think
okay.
that
There's two different modes of gender communication going on in that car, in that scene. And the woman's like, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry. Don't resist. Just sit back.
I want to say this about this movie too.
Would have fought.
I think especially people
right.
like ourselves, we are conditioned by cinema to think that, oh shit, we would do. Have you ever really? I mean, not that I have, but I'm proposing that when real shit goes down in real life, people don't act the way they do in movies. They probably act like this. Like you don't know what you would fucking do in that situation, and you're probably not going to be a fucking superhero. You're not going to be fucking John Wick.
Hold on. Who here has been in a fight?
Oh God.
A real fight?
A real fight. A real like
as a
knuckles up fight.
As a grown up, not in junior high? Never.
No, just even as a kid.
I've been in real fights. I've
been in fights too. It's like
I've won fights and I've lost fights.
Yeah,
like,
me too. I've got my ass kicked. I've kicked ass. It's like the thing is, when you're a kid, it's more primal. But the thing is, the layers that you build on with it as an adult keep you from doing that.
I think John actually saw me one time when I had fucking road rash on my face from getting my ass kicked. Like it's happened to me as an adult.
Right.
Like
I'm just suggesting that I think scenarios like this, they don't play out the way they do in most other movies where people fight back or
people absolutely
they
freeze up. Like I'm not saying that they don't freeze up.
Mhm.
There are choices that these characters make through the entire course of this movie that are things that no one would do.
Okay. The thing about the film is,
I mean, I think that's debatable. That's what we're doing.
There's what's going on in the film, and there's the reaction the film is trying to project upon the audience, and the audience is continually frustrated by the fact this couple is not doing anything. They're not saying it. They're not running away. They're always getting sucked back into this ridiculous situation, right?
Yep.
And they keep doing that over and over again. And that is great horror film making. It's like,
but I'm not scared or thrilled by any of this.
Oh, I was. I
No,
think it's.
no,
I think it's also
no,
done. I think it's all.
It ramps the tension up so high.
Yeah, I think the
film.
filmmaking is so. The
First of
filmmaking
all-
is so intelligent that it keeps raising and raising and raising and
Yes.
raising.
I immediately knew that they cut their son's tongue out. I immediately like the moment that comes up.
I didn't.
I was like, oh, they cut
know
his
that.
tongue out.
I didn't see it.
Like I absolutely knew it. I knew that they were killers. I knew that that's where this plot was going, and I did not care.
I didn't know any of that. It really had me. It gripped me.
The long and the short of this movie for me is that we have seen 37 fucking versions of this film at various different points. Specifically, is this Scandinavia, Jim? Is like this is in the Netherlands, first of all, and is Denmark part of Scandinavia?
No,
More or less.
This proves that it's not just Americans who confuse the Dutch and the Danish.
Right. But this is a Danish family in the Netherlands.
Right.
But this is a Danish filmmaker. But this type of movie, this Scandinavian type of thriller horror movie, goes back at least to the early 90s. Like think about The Vanishing. Think about
I love that movie.
Yeah.
But The Vanishing does it right. When you get to the end of that
I think
movie,
they're both great.
I think there's a lot of shared DNA.
Right.
You know what?
But that's
what?
the fucking problem.
You know what?
The problem is
I'm going to challenge you.
I'm shared DNA.
I'm going to challenge you on this because I don't think that what you're saying is actually correct. I think that you're saying you're ahead of the film. I don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. You can't tell me you're ahead of this film because I don't buy it.
Okay.
I just don't.
Again, I've watched 37 of these movies, and the worst case scenario is always the answer.
I will say, yes.
We knew something was.
It's film.
I'm not saying I agree with Scott, but I'm saying
a horror movie setup.
We all know something's going wrong, but it was. I didn't predict what was going on. Though.
He wasn't born without a tongue. Come on. Like this is like
the guy said he was a doctor, and he said he actually had a scientific name for it, and he kind of bought
congenital
something glossy. I can't remember what it's called.
Nevertheless,
Yeah.
I do agree with Tad to the point that I disagree with you, Tad, in the sense that I was certainly sucked into the filmmaking. I think it's a goddamn shame that the filmmaking and the acting and everything else is so good on this because of where it ultimately ended up. But I felt the first part of the film, before it got really carried away into where it was going to ultimately and inevitably go, I thought that was building tension well, and I thought I was sucked in and I was nervous and all that. But I got increasingly frustrated with these characters because of everything you said, that they're just stupid and passive and had so many chances to change things, and ultimately their behavior just didn't make sense as human beings.
They have NPC
stand there and undress and take off your clothes. What the fuck?
No,
Why wouldn't
you
they
know why
run
they
away? If they let their daughter be taken away, why didn't they at least run when the car doors were unlocked?
You know what the taking the clothes off thing is? Like that's entirely
It's to make you more helpless.
No, it's so you can see the bruises as they're getting pelted with the rocks.
Oh,
That's
okay.
literally
Well, it's probably multiple things, but
that's the
But I mean,
film-
there's some
on,
that's like
that's
horror movie
prurient. Come
playbook
on, that's
shit in this.
ridiculous.
the
when-
filmmaking choice is there to make you see that
They
happen.
killed them in the most low-tech way possible because there's no guns in Denmark. I mean, Holland.
Well,
You
there
just
are.
you put them in a pit and you throw rocks until they're fucking dead. They've been doing this for 2,000 years. I mean,
Okay.
come on.
What is that?
So-
That has nothing to do with what I said.
It does.
Like,
It has
no,
everything
it
to do with what you're
doesn't.
saying.
It has
They
nothing
take
to
their
do with
clothes
what I
off because they
said.
can see all the bruises. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, I don't know.
Literally, you watch them bruise on screen.
These
as
people
they're
are
getting-
these people are sociopaths. It doesn't matter to them. They want to have them.
But I
help
think
them so they
Tad's
can
talking
kill
about for
them.
the audience,
I'm
for
not
us.
talking
audience.
about the fucking people. I'm talking about us, the
The
audience.
audience, yeah.
It is there so we can see them bruise.
So it's more brutal.
Right.
I mean, I might buy that. Sure.
Okay,
They
this
are
is
naked,
okay.
they are
This
naked,
is
so
horror
they
film.
are-
Okay,
But I think what John said is also true. Strip them down,
But
make
this is-
them
but
make them feel
this-
more
Even more
exposed,
helpless
more
and humiliated.
vulnerable,
okay,
more
this
helpless.
is horror film 101. Come on.
It is horror film 101, and that's what pissed me off.
Yeah.
Is that the beginning is so
Again,
good, and the ending was like, oh, okay, the
shares-
kid's going to be dead in the pool.
But
Kid's
look
dead in the
behind
pool.
Chris.
Then he
Okay,
goes
see-
into that picture that was just behind Chris where he's looking at all the photos. It's like, how many times have we seen that exact fucking scene
Yes.
in a horror movie? Too many fucking times.
Sure,
Too many times.
but it's-
oh
but it's
my
doing it-
God. Look, they've been doing this all along.
It
Okay,
shares-
they figured it out.
But
They
it
figured,
shares
okay,
too
at that
much
point,
No,
they figured
you're
it out.
not. You're not wrong, John. But I think it's strong here. Where in other movies, I think it's a crutch, or it's
It
like
shares-
If I hadn't
sensible, or
seen it in
it's-
so many other movies, Jared, I might agree with you.
It shares too much
Just-
DNA with too many other ones of these movies. That's
Right.
the problem.
Well, and I also think that the evil couple behind Chris there, like all these times where they're like, but specifically that scene, I think the writing and the performances are so good because we do get that like, they're trying to give them that like, listen, I'm so sorry, we didn't know, and if you
But
you
you
still
lay
know
all this
something's off,
groundwork.
but
You lay all this groundwork to create these characters and build this tension and do all this beautiful cinematography and stuff, and then at the end,
Wasn't that beautiful?
it's a horror movie.
you wouldn't.
But-
I think there are some people that would though. I think you
They
can
actually
say
went
they're-
because they didn't want to offend them, which is
Yes.
the perfect reason.
It's
for
a
this
comedy. It's a horror of
also
manners.
what if
It's all
you're
about
I mean
manners.
what if you're kind of a little lonely, you don't have a lot of friends? I mean, I don't know, lots of people have different situations. Like you
I don't
could
know
be
how
like,
they're going to remake this in America because an American would
It's
never
gonna
do
come
this.
out.
I don't
because
know how
Americans
they're
It's already
gonna
done.
come
It's
out
already
in 2
done.
months, man.
Because
We're gonna
Americans
find
don't
out in
fucking-
2 months when this
Because
film comes
Americans
out.
don't fucking trust anyone.
well, that's why I wanted to, I love this picture, obviously, but I wanted to pick it because of that, because we're all gonna, maybe not all, but
I'm
some
not
of us
gonna
will go
watch-
see it or whatever, or we'll stream it
I'm
when
not
it
going to
comes
go
out.
watch James McAvoy fuck his way through this character.
Yeah, McAvoy is going to be, of course, the
The bad guy.
bad dad. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was
Um,
going to play Abel.
No, he's going to play the.
I
I'd
like,
like
The
to
Dutch
see
dad.
the
The
tongue
guy
cut
from
out.
Monsters is going to play Abel.
Oh wow!
I like
The
James
dad,
I like James.
I like James McAvoy too, but I know that America. Okay, it's kind of like watching Let the Right One In and then watching Let the or what did they call it in
No,
America?
It's like watching
the
funny
right one,
games
the
and
right
then
one.
watching funny games. Actually,
No, because that's a shot for shot. No, listen. If you watch Let the Right One In and then you watch the American version, which I think is just like Let Me In, they cut out two specific, like very, very specific shots that I knew. I said, "There's no way America is going to do that." And I feel like this is that kind of picture too. I think
I don't
it's
know
kind of like
how-
when they remade the same thing when they remade Insomnia and The Vanishing. America will not go to certain places like
I
the
don't
Insomnia
think-
remake. They don't kill
can't
a
end the
dog. you know, in The
But
Vanishing.
Insomnia also changes the character motivation too. So like,
yeah, which is, but yeah, and in the Vanishing remake, he doesn't stay buried alive. They come and rescue him, which is just so stupid. But
that's bad. I'll give
that's
you that.
really bad.
Somebody's gonna get away at the end of that American.
Yeah, they're not gonna let this go down the way.
Who's is A24 making it?
I don't know who it is.
If A24 makes it, they may.
Yeah, they may do it. They may do it. But Let the Right One In. Anyway, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but
I'll look it up.
I've seen both. I mean,
Let the Right One In is amazing, and there's like
they're actually both pretty decent.
I agree with Chris. The remake was not crap. Actually,
no, they're both pretty decent. The first
just
one's
wasn't
better.
as good. Yeah,
is that a vampire book?
It's about a child vampire.
Yeah. That's my ex read that book and really
really
and
good film.
I think watched the
original
movie.
Okay, we're way off. I think we're going.
I think it's awesome that the bad guys drove a Volvo station.
Now, one thing about this film,
Bad people
I
drive
think,
Volvos.
I think one of the problems to this film is that it's really transgressive in terms of like there's horror films where people get killed and cut in little pieces. This, what happened to her,
was fucking brutal.
It's beyond, I think, what I could accept in a film.
It's transgressive for the sake of being transgressive.
Yes,
that's another problem.
I'm going to agree with you there. It was, that's the thing. The film was built around, let's cut this little kid's tongue out.
Right.
And everything fell from that. And I agree. That's like,
and then imagine the 30
it was actually too much to handle when I first saw it. It was like, I could not.
To me, this movie is as simple as a story you tell at a campfire to scare other people. It's like, and they cut the girl's tongue out. Oh my God. You know what I mean?
And the hook was still hanging on the door.
It's that story. It's that kind of a story. It's absolutely that kind of story. And I mean, that's why if you like horror movies, you want to be told those stories over and over again.
Except you see it.
Okay, wait, Jim's corner.
You actually do see it.
Yeah.
Jim.
I disagree with everybody. I found the direction and the acting shitty. I didn't like the story that much. I just thought it was a bad movie.
Oh,
Keep going.
I haven't even gotten to the acting. I think the acting of the main couple is awful. They come across as if they have NPC syndrome. Like there's nothing going on in their brain. They have no internal thoughts.
I think you're complaining about the characters again, which is a valid complaint, but I don't think it's.
I don't know who made them act like that. Maybe they did it themselves. Maybe the director made them do it. Who knows?
I think there's a certain. I think they're making a comment about the kind of complacency of Western European complacency.
It's like a social thing.
It's
passivity.
Like we're so comfortable in our own life.
But I don't feel like the bad couple's like that. I think the bad couple does have interior.
They're self-actualized.
Thoughts. Well, yeah, but they have a goal, and it's an awful goal.
Jim, you got.
Jim, take it away.
Cut off.
They cut my tongue out. Yeah, I don't know. I just I thought about Funny Games or Fun and Games or whatever the fuck it's called, the German version, the Austrian version, a lot, but I think I liked that movie better. I think it was a better movie.
You hated that movie.
Yeah, I know. I eviscerated it.
It had a very dumb and childish sense of humor, and this movie has no sense of humor.
Well, no, yeah, it's Danish. I mean, they spend most of their life in darkness and cold.
Yeah, 3-hour days and
which is why it takes place in Italy at the beginning. I was like, that's not Denmark.
Actually,
they shot that part last, and I guarantee you that was a cast vacation.
Yeah,
they were like, all right, once we get done filming this, we're all going to Italy.
The Italian part looked really pretty. I have to admit, that was really nice.
Before we go to the cards,
I think the shot behind me and the shot
I'm not done.
We're
not done.
Great.
We're not?
Like I think there is some really, really good cinematography in this movie. And much like John, I wish it had in any way a better story that it was
in service of something better than this.
I think it was okay.
I feel the same way. I just got to share this with you guys. We pulled it up on the screen. We just watched it this afternoon. Mm-hmm. Sheila says, oh, fuck. She reads the little capsule description before we click play. And she goes, do you want me to tell you what's going to happen? I go, no, write it down on a piece of paper, and then I can read it when the movie's over. And here's what she wrote. The Dutch couple murder the family. They go on vacation to find their victims.
That's close.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, she didn't
No, that's specifically the story.
That's the plot.
Yeah.
But she didn't call the child stealing and tongue cutting. But I mean, who could have seen?
Well, but she
it's
hadn't
not what's
gotten-
going to happen; it's how it's going to happen.
She
Well,
hadn't gotten to
even
the
if you
tongueless
cut
son yet.
even if you cut a kid's tongue out, they're not going to behave themselves.
I
So
don't
you
think
have
what
to
I
kill
don't think that's
them.
what the film is about.
sure
I think
that's
it's
not all they
actually
did to her,
it's
right?
about
Yeah.
how it's about social interactions in a lot of ways. This
Yeah,
film is
no, it is.
actually
It's,
I
uh,
liked,
it's
the
incredibly
one thing I
nuanced.
liked was the argument between the Danish couple.
This
I
is this
thought
this
was
is a horror
nice.
movie about
what to do.
manners.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
That's exactly
this
right,
little bit
Jared.
of social commentary was stuck in the middle of
Big pile of
blockbuster.
bullshit.
Oh, did you hear
who
the
is
argument about
that?
vegetarianism?
Who's got a siren going by?
vegetarian thing.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim
I also
does.
liked him not lying about.
Also,
being a
what's wrong
doctor.
with the Dutch
Sure,
people?
Everybody
You
believes.
ever
it.
you ever have stampot? It's ridiculous. It's like they took vegetables and like potatoes and mush them together and put a sausage on top of it. What's wrong with these people?
She
That's
had to
crazy.
ask twice what it was, and then when he described it, it was like, "Oh no,
It's
they're
gross.
only
It
for
really
us."
is. It's like it's
What were you gonna say, Ted?
It's just a stew.
Yeah,
but it's not really. It's
just
actually kind of
stew.
mushed together
It's kind of,
vegetables and
it's kind of
potatoes
mashed
with a-
vegetables, which
Yeah.
is fine. You put some parsnips or some carrots. And
Oh,
with your
what? Don't even say the
potatoes.
p. You said the p word.
Little
Oh,
kids,
parsnips are good.
little
Parsnips are
kids
good.
do that. I had literally never had parsnips until Thanksgiving this year. My friend made this really lovely bake that had a bunch of root vegetables in it, including parsnips. And I was like, these are pretty good, actually.
Actually, they're not bad.
Have you ever had Jerusalem artichokes?
Yes.
I had a bunch like volunteer. So for a couple of years, the gardener would like dig them up for me and give me a bag full of Jerusalem
Oh man,
artichokes.
I love artichokes. across
Okay,
the
where
board.
okay,
Scott,
you
don't
wanna-
cut this out. Just cut to some stock footage of holiday casseroles. And
I'm
you'll be
going
great.
to. I'll find
Yeah.
some footage of parsnips being prepared for a lovely meal
I'll
at this
just-
point.
Yeah.
Jared, as I recall, you were almost going to pick Straw Dogs.
I was gonna pick
Shit.
Straw Dogs with this, or no,
Yes.
with three women. Sorry, with
Well,
three women.
Should have picked
Dogs
straw
for
dogs.
me-
because they're both
But-
70s.
but hold on, but Straw Dogs is actually a good companion piece to this because
It's a horror of manners.
that is the opposite side of the coin, though, because Dustin Hoffman's character in that movie is basically the same as this fucking guy.
Yeah,
gets
that's kind of
walked
true. He
over-
he gets pushed over to his limit and then he
Walked over
turns.
for 3/4 of the movie, and in the last quarter, he does what this guy did not find the fortitude to do, which is to fight back.
That's true. That's true.
And that to me is that's
in a slightly
Sam
racist manner.
Peckinpah's version of this dynamic.
Well, Peckinpah
Yeah, because
is
Peckinpah's an
incredibly American.
Right,
Yeah.
which is but that's
But it was
what
shot in Wales
I
too. So
like
that's another
this
thing entirely.
movie so much
Yeah.
is because it's like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes the cavalry doesn't fucking roll in because at the end of the day, you're a milk toast,
Yeah.
and you're also your wife is a bit of a milk toast. Like you're so wedged into this idea of what politeness and non-confrontation means that when the shit fucking hits the fan, you literally cannot fucking
Yeah.
do anything about it.
When was
Yeah,
this
and
made?
I-
This
and
was
I-
made in 2022, right?
Yeah,
22
years old, yeah.
22.
22.
22 years old.
I just
So-
I think it's interesting because I feel like in sort of 9/11 aspect, you kind of couldn't make this movie today with the Ukraine war because
Interesting.
because people in the EU are really thinking about themselves differently at this point in time. Like they feel like they're under more threat.
Maybe.
Like
They're
you-
not feeling
you-
ecumenical
you-
anymore. That's the thing.
You mentioned
Right.
you mentioned 9/11, which is interesting because even though it's hard, like United 93 has also kind of been on my list for a while.
Yeah.
And you
I never-
have
I have not
It's
seen
a
it.
great movie.
it's a
Oh,
great
geez.
film,
It's a
but it's
great movie.
hard, you know.
I don't think I can
but
take it. I
it's-
don't think too
You
much
should
to
pick
take.
that. You should pick that and 9 July the same week, and then all of us can just feel like
You
wanting.
mean 22 July?
Or yeah, sorry,
um,
22 July, and then all of us can just feel like wanting to die for the next like.
Well, but you know, but
That's why I
United
go to the
93, United 93 is literally an example of when people didn't just be complicit or complacent or just
Right.
sit there and do nothing.
Yeah.
They
Right?
know they're
I mean,
going
it's
to
a
die
real
anyway.
yeah, but they have the fortitude. Like these people don't know that they're gonna. I mean, we know they're probably gonna die, but they don't know they're gonna
I
die.
don't think they know that how fucked they are until they get out of the car.
Right. And
Okay, we're off topic.
No,
No,
we're
anyway.
not.
We're not
kind of
off
we kind
topic
of
at
are.
all.
Let's just. I think we need to wrap it up.
I like this movie.
I
do.
love this movie.
It's fucked up, but I really like this movie.
As a horror film, I think it's.
So are we going to the cards?
And I
as a
like
horror
horror
film.
movies, so
I like horror
Hard.
movie. I like it.
Pass.
I think it's as a horror film, it's fantastic.
That's a better review.
Oh well,
than I
Jim.
thought Jim
That's a
was
better
gonna give it.
review from Jim than I thought. Yeah.
Wow.
There was too much lovey-dovey in it.
Whoa. It was too smoochy for you?
It was too smoochy.
Oh,
Yeah.
smoochy. We don't
That's what I was
want
waiting for,
this.
Chris. I was waiting for
Oh
that.
my God. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't
fine.
get the basket of puppies.
That was supposed to be the first thing you put up on this one.
The entire movie, the basket of puppies. What the hell?